So Stephen Miller is not a lawyer, and he's wrong when he says ICE agents have absolute immunity in the context of performing their jobs. Yes, they have absolute immunity so long as Pam Bondi is running the Justice Department. But shooting someone in the face 3 times is not performing your job. Theoretically, ICE agents do not have absolute immunity. They have qualified immunity. Theoretically, state prosecutors in Minneapolis could begin an investigation into the shooting. The problems with that are manifold. The primary one being the FBI has all the evidence now, and Kash Patel is unlikely to turn it over to Keith Ellison, the Minnesota State Attorney General, or the Hennepin County DA. So the state of Minneapolis, the state of Minnesota, could begin prosecution of this Jonathan Ross guy. But Ross could then go before a judge and insist that his crime was performed under the color of the law, and that entitles him to have his state prosecution moved into a federal courtroom. So that would be the first thing that would happen, is it would be if the state or the county began prosecuting Jonathan Ross, he would have every right to have it moved into a federal courtroom. That means the state of Minnesota or the Hennepin County DA would still be the prosecutor. You'd still have the local DA or the state prosecutor doing the prosecuting, but it would be in a federal courtroom. State law would be in effect. It would just take place inside a federal courtroom. You might remember before the Fulton County RICO trial was thrown out in its entirety last month, Mark Meadows, Donald Trump's chief of staff on January 6, he was one of the 19 indicted in that RICO trial. He filed a motion to have his trial removed from Fulton County and bumped up to a federal courtroom. But after hearings were held, a judge ruled the case would remain in Fulton County. That case got thrown out last month. Supposedly, Fonnie Willis would have still been the prosecutor. It would have been tried in a federal courtroom where the jury pool would be different. Wouldn't be a Fulton County jury pool. So Mark Meadows and presumably Trump would get a more favorable verdict. So Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, or the Hennepin County DA, I think her name is Moriarty. Theoretically, they can reopen this investigation and put Ross on trial. It's unlikely because it would take years. It's going to wind its way through the courts, get bumped up to a federal courtroom, and Ross, whoever did the shooting, will claim qualified immunity means he can't be prosecuted. In the end, this is all political, because if this were the Biden Justice Department, this guy would be on trial. There would be cooperation between Minnesota and the FBI, and the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division would be all over this. Instead, the Department of Justice is investigating the victim and her wife to prove they are part of a network of criminal leftists. The Federal Tort Claims Act does allow Renee Good's family to file a civil lawsuit seeking damages, monetary compensation, but no jail time. It's a civil lawsuit. There would be no jail time, but they could get compensatory damages, arguing that this officer violated Renee Good's Fourth Amendment rights by using inappropriate and excessive force. Again, Ross, ICE, will claim he has qualified immunity, not absolute immunity, and he does have qualified immunity. And it makes it harder for him to be sued in a civil court. JD Vance, Yale Law School, claims he has absolute immunity. It's qualified immunity, meaning qualified immunity means he can't be sued for a death caused while performing his job in a reasonable fashion. Well, I've watched those videos over and over again to the point where I'm no longer sickened by it. Do you think he was performing his job in a reasonable fashion? Is that his voice saying effing bitch as she lay dying? If we had a normal president and a normal Justice Department, the Civil Rights Division would be all over this agent. Do you think he was performing his job? Because if that's not the nature of the job, then your qualified immunity immunity is thrown out. You're not trained. It's not the official job to shoot an innocent person 3 times in the face. If that's his voice calling her an effing bitch, afterwards, you're not allowed to fire your weapon out of anger. That's not part of the official job. Again, he's a millionaire now because of the crowdsource, the fundraising that's been going on. ICE pays his legal fees, and if it goes into civil court, ICE pays his legal fees, and if he has to pay damages, it's ICE. You and me pay the damages to Good's family, not the officer. I doubt justice will be served, and I fear more shootings.